Peace and blessings. My name is Carlos Walker. This is Forward Progress, and today we're here with Chef Anthony Thomas. Peace and blessings, bro. How you doing,
Hey, I'm blessed. How about yourself?
man? Look, life is perfect, man. So
hmm
before we jump into anything, I love to first you introduce who you are and what you do.
hmm Yep. So my name is Chef Anthony Thomas. I am a 37-year-old personal chef, author, and based out of the DC area. Um, Started this culinary journey about 16 years ago. Started Chef Anthony events. Been cooking ever since. My specialty, or I say my unique attribute, what I bring to people is cuisine of choice is upscale fusion. So not just one particular fusion from one country to another, but various countries from across the world that I visit or that I've studied, and just bringing unique dishes to the forefront to my customers, so that they have something extremely unique and new that they never had before.
Mm,
Mhm.
congratulations. So we're gonna get to why we're here. So recently, I discovered that you have been formerly incarcerated. If you don't mind telling people how long you did.
Yep. So in 2011, I was sentenced, no, 2012, sorry. 2012, I was sentenced to 32 months in federal prison. Eastern District, Virginia, found me guilty. It was a conspiracy we caught up in. And when you're caught up in a conspiracy, you're not beating that case. Guilty by association. If you know
Yes.
somebody who's doing something wrong, if you associate with them or affiliated in any way, there's a chance you can go down. And that's what happened. And I was affiliated, and when I went down, they sent me upstate to New Jersey. I went to
Okay.
Fort Dix FCI. That's a low medium prison. Uh, it's a low, but it's ran like a medium. And that was my first time ever experiencing prison. It's nothing like what you see on television. Actually, you'll actually never see a federal prison on TV. You only see the state joints, right? Um, in there, it was a time for me to reflect and, embrace the individuals who are around me from all different parts of the country, realizing my 32 months was actually a pretty light sentence compared to some of the guys who were in there with 360 months, 210 months, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, um, realizing I can get a fresh start in about 2 years and 8 months. So at that time, I decided to um, figure out my exit plan and upon release, what I should do. And because I was already about 3 to 4 years into the culinary arts, I said I'd really have to take a deep dive into it. You know, not just doing what I was doing. I was posting these YouTube videos, cooking videos in the kitchen, very simple, regular recipes. But I'm like, that's not going to make me stand out. I have to create some very unique dishes. So that's when I started having family members send me different recipe books and cooking books and anything related to culinary arts. And I would just create various menus. I have a whole notepad still to this day of these recipes. And when I got out, went
Before we
straight
jump, hold
to,
on. Before we go too
oh
fast, I don't want. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't want to give too much just yet.
yeah,
Cause
I went too fast.
no, no, you good because that gave me
hmm
something to piggyback off of when we do get
Yep.
to that time frame. So before you went to prison, share a little bit about life. What was it like? What was it about?
Yep.
Who were you?
Um, Grew up in this little small town called Mount Rainier, right? That's right there off Rhode Island, so it borders Washington D.C. And grew up with two of my parents, which actually came out to be my aunt and uncle. Um, they raised me. They both were a little bit older, like in their mid 40s to close to 50s, and I was raised by what do you call them? My father was a minister in church, and mother was the first lady, so I was at church every single Sunday. Um, Bible study every Tuesday, choir rehearsal on Thursdays. And, I just grew up in the church. So I came up in a very religious household. Um, as I got older, went to high school, went to Eleanor Roosevelt, which is an elite high school in the area. Then I attended Bowie State. While at Bowie State, at HBCU, right? Um, I had a rare brain deformity called a anterior venous malformation. That caused me to have to drop out of college during that time period to get the corrective surgery. I got the surgery. The surgery was successful. And that surgery basically is something that could hemorrhage and cause all sorts of issues. Mine didn't hemorrhage. Mine was triggered from having a poor diet, and my blood pressure rose extremely high. Thank God. Um, so I got a corrective surgery, and I never had another migraine again.
Mm.
And like I told you, let's watch this transition. I went from no college, from going to college to no college. So now I'm out here in the world, young adult, trying to figure out how to generate some money with only a high school education. So I'm getting little odd jobs. I'm working at the National Gallery of Art in their kitchen. I'm working at Domino's. I worked at Chevy's, which is Mexican restaurant, fast casual restaurant. Different hotels in their kitchen. So still not realizing this is really what you want to pursue, and or you just love to cook. So I'm getting these jobs, and they're not really making much money, but I'm getting hands-on experience in the kitchen. And then one day, I got this job at the Washington Post, and I was the top salesman, number 7 salesman in the country selling the Washington Post. But ultimately, I exhausted that and made a lot of money doing it, and now I really don't have no job. So got involved with some guys, start figuring out why they look like they doing something, man. So asked them what they were doing. I need parts, and it seemed easy and it seemed flawless. Like it's not hurting nobody. Got involved. 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, 5th year, those rats start coming. And I hate to say it like that. The people who stand next to you and who will break the law with you will be the same people who, when they get caught, they can tell them. And that's what happened. And they'll wear a wire. They'll do anything to get that time reduction, to get a sentence reduction, to get immunity. And that's what happened to me. And guess what? The whole operation came crumbling down. And I ended up getting in trouble. Catching a Fed case, and but life was good though. During those 5 years while we're partying and going to clubs and having house parties, and it seemed unreal. It seemed like a rapper's lifestyle or entertainer's lifestyle. Money is no issue. You have boatloads of it. And if you spend that amount, you can make it back. It was easy to make it back. But ultimately, the fast money don't last too long, and it didn't. So 5 years later, I got jammed up.
You jammed up, or when you first got locked up? I'm assuming, did you have kids or anything when you first got locked up?
No kids.
Okay.
Just a bunch of liabilities.
So you done got locked up. What was the emotional standpoint when you first got caught up? Because I'm pretty sure your parents or the people you were staying with, they were still alive.
Yeah.
So
I really didn't know how to process it. It was so many different emotions. I was 24. I know I'm about to go to jail, but I don't know how much time I'm about to get. I'm doing research on different people that had the same charge as me. And I'm like, oh, 6 months? Oh, 8 months? A year and a day was the longest I've seen for a sentence of the charge that I had. So I'm like, all right, I could eat a year up. You know what I'm saying? Year and a day, that's cool. You start talking to that lawyer, and that lawyer says, yeah, well, they changed the law. The law now for this charge is a mandatory 2. And then you got another charge that could range from anything. So now I'm like, all right, mandatory 2, I can do this too. But I think the biggest emotional part about it was seeing how individuals worshipped or looked at you like a hero. When you go into the clubs and you're buying, look, everybody shots on me, drinks on me. Hey, you want a bottle? Oh, happy birthday, bro. Here you go. Take 2. Oh, take one for your young lady. You're the man. You're no longer the man. So now, it begins to mess with your emotional side. Like, dang, man, when I was here for y'all, when it was your birthday, I took care of you, and nobody here to take care of you. So it really broadens your vision to understand that, anything can happen in an instant.
And you were sitting there alone in the midst of this, and I'm assuming probably nobody was there other than family members. Sometimes maybe they wasn't even there.
100%. Only person there was my mom, dad, sisters, a couple of friends, a few. select few friends, and those friends that were there for me while my back was up against the wall are still there for me to this day. I appreciate them.
And like you said, even though they were there, you were still alone because
Yep.
they with you in
Yep.
support, but you got to do the time yourself. You got to deal with
100%.
you got to deal inside your mind by yourself. Everything is you learning now to maneuver different. Like you said, you've been 3 years in well, technically maybe a little bit longer in the culinary arts form at this time,
Mm-hmm.
because you
Yep.
started off at a few different jobs, just cooking, not knowing. But then 3 years, I'm assuming,
Yep.
before you got locked up, you had
Yep.
kind of tied in a little bit more.
Yep.
Okay, so now you're in prison.
Yep.
All right, you're in prison, and as you stated earlier, you started getting people to, you start transforming your mind. What do I
Yep.
want to do when I get home? How did you get to that point? Because everybody's not there when they
Yeah.
first get locked up. Were you?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because I don't know. I felt like a different change in me, and they say that once a man doesn't become a man until about 25 years old. I don't know. My thinking just began to really change while I was in there, and I feel like being amongst real men who really don't like that. That changed my mind too. There was certain things that we can do on this side of the fence you can't do on that side. There's a certain level of respect that you have to have for people. I say for men, but for people in general that I
Mm-hmm.
learned on that side. Certain things you could say on this side, nobody will say anything. But if you call man these certain names, are they ready to throw hands? So when I learned that, it kind of just matured me even more. Like, yo, I appreciate these guys, but this ain't the place I want to be. These guys have been here since 17, 18 years old. They have a different thinking, different mentality. So I matured really, really quick being around them. And I realized, okay, I got a release date that's a lot sooner than them.
Mm-hmm.
I got to really, focus and realize what I want to do when I get out of here so I don't ever come back to this place. Yeah. Um, so my mind started to transform and realize what I was doing, uh, what I was, what I could do to keep myself from coming back.
So there's a Bible verse that comes to my mind: "Iron sharpens iron." Being that
Yes.
you was talking about the things that, because I feel too the same way. Being one
Mhm.
also who has been formerly incarcerated, I realized all the relationships and all the men that were around me is what built me. It wasn't the prison itself,
Yeah.
because it's men who teach classes and do all this. They're not bringing outside teachers. They're not doing none of this. But it's the men in the unit who you
Hmm.
tied to, who reshape your mind, because they have been transformed, because they've done quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
They're no longer their younger selves. They've transformed to a higher self.
Yeah.
And some of
100%.
them don't be that old. They just done
Yep.
did a lot of time. So they're old as when it comes from prison
Hmm.
mentality. They might be 20 years, technically 20 years old in prison, because that's the time they've spent, opposed to
Hmm.
somebody who are just 1 year old coming in prison.
Yep.
To me, that's like a whole different lifespan that
Yeah.
restarts.
Yeah.
So you decided to, like you said earlier, reach out to your family, tell them, send me some recipes.
Yep.
Go deeper into this part.
Yeah. So I told him send me recipe books so I can learn different words, different terms, different vegetables, fruit. I don't know everything, but one thing I do know is that if I don't know what it is, I'm going to research it. Um, different. I just say different foods from different places across the world was something that I really wanted to study, so that when I travel to these places and I have a conversation with people about them, they're like, "Dang, how you know about that?" Like certain foods that may bring up when you're on the islands, they're like, "Dang, you had that before?" So and you're American, it just really just surprises them a bit. But you'll never see the joy on people's faces when you don't appreciate you appreciate the joy you put on people's faces when you introduce them to something that they've never had before. They're like, "Yo, I've never had Brussels sprouts." You're like, "You never had a Brussels sprout? Let me show you something. Let me add that to your menu." Or they'll, when I'm helping people create their menu, it's actually me showing them something that they may not have they've been apprehensive about ordering, but I want you to try it at least once, so I can be the one that, I hate to say it like this, pop the cherry.
So you decided to educate yourself in your art form, because this is an art. Remember, culinary arts. This is an art form, a craft, or as the word says, your gift will make room for you and put you before great men.
100%.
You learn to take something from your past that you started early, working at different restaurants, and while you were sitting in prison, hone in on this craft, focused in a little bit more by educating yourself, getting your people to send books, because you didn't really know what you wanted to do, but you knew what you wanted to do. You started envisioning in your mind places that you wanted to venture out to, but also to learn their culture and to be able to bring in a dish the culture to your own people. Here, when you start creating your own events, I've actually watched you on Instagram quite a few times and seen how you set up certain things. Now, what I tell you is an art form. It's an art to how you do things, or how you curate the event. This is beautiful. I've been watching you
I
for
appreciate
some
it.
years now, and I never forget the day we met. I was selling cars, and you came
Yep.
over there to check out a car, and somehow I was just like, "Yo, let me get your number." We
Yep.
linked. I got the no, I think I got your Instagram information, but we tied in then, and I've
Yep.
been watching you ever since. And this been like almost 4 years ago, and it's
Damn, that time.
I promise you, and it's almost
Yeah.
amazing to recently. I just got to reach out to you because I seen a post that you posted about you using grays, and I was like, "Yo, darn, I ain't know my man was locked up."
Yeah.
And that's what made me reach out and was like, "Yo, can I interview you, because your story need to be told, your transition." Because what I learned is people don't understand the significance of a story. When you really learn to tell your story and you show the caterpillar opposed to what a butterfly is now, then this is when they get to understand the journey and the experience. Yes, it might have rained on him when he was climbing the tree. Yes, some little kids might have tossed him but didn't kill him. Almost got stepped on, but survived. And you get to see this transition of a human being opposed to a creature. But the transition is mind blowing about people where they don't know what they can become, but they can become.
Yeah.
So if you want to expound on that, go ahead. It looked like you
Yeah.
had something.
Now it's crazy because a lot of people just think that I just woke up and I'm the guy with 100,000 followers on TikTok. It don't work like that. There's hard work you got to put in, you know, and it's consistency. You know, if you and I just had a conversation with one of my sous chefs last night. I don't know what it was on my heart. I was like, hey, bro, we talked last week. You said you want to start putting up more content. And he always makes excuses, always make excuses. Oh man, I got busy. I'm doing that. I'm like, but when I asked you last week, how many inquiries have you been getting? Oh man, I haven't been getting no inquiries for no events. And I said, bro, you just gotta start posting more. So what I'm saying is, consistency is the key to, driving your business and getting yourself out there. And, I live by that. Like if I'm making a post a day, I'm throwing people curveballs so they don't get into the, routine thing. Here you go with another cooking video. You might get a cooking video from me today. You might get a phone customer conversation video. You might get an event video. I try to switch it up to keep people invested. So when I put that video out about that you're talking about the prison transition from 10 years, being 10 years being out, it caught people by surprise because a lot of people wrote me and was like, bro, you was locked up. And you don't know how much that response means to me. Like, I look at that as a badge of honor. Like, I don't even give off prison vibes, if whatever that means. So for people to be surprised and be like, yo, I would have never guessed. It's like you look at me like a human being and just an individual who's just providing you with, amazing recipes and amazing events. But 10 years ago, I was sitting in a jail cell by myself for 23 hours in a day, you know, reading books. You know, while you were out here enjoying the Ravens versus 49ers Super Bowl, I'm sitting in a cell with no lights and no electricity, you know. So, you know, just realizing that, you know, you never know someone's story, but you also don't judge a book by its cover. I never assume or treat a certain person better because of their status. I treat everybody the same. And I live by that, man.
So we about to transition out of prison. Tell
Mm-hmm.
us about all the things that you have done since you've been home. How you
Mm-hmm.
became who you are now, because there was a transition out of there. You had already did it mentally. You was already home before you got home.
Yeah, 100%.
Tell me
Um,
once you got home, how was your mind? Tell me about where your thoughts were and how you
mhm.
transitioned to now.
Yeah. I mean, I could still say when I got out, my back was still up against the wall, but I still had the vision for it. I didn't have a driver's license. The NBA wasn't trying to give me my driver's license back. Mind you, I got out in 2014. Let's watch the transition. 2014 is now 2024. Um, I had a bunch of driving on suspendeds from previous years, you know, 2007, 2008. So when I got out, the NBA looks at me like a threat. And thinking I'm being insubordinate. No, I'm locked up. So I couldn't get my driver's license, meaning I couldn't buy a vehicle. I got a felon on my back. So now it's hard for me to find a job. Um, and all I have is a little bit of money to my name. I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna invest in myself. I want to get married to my wife who held me down while I was away.
Congratulations to her.
Nah, I appreciate that. And I mean, I'll just fast forward. You know, we got two daughters now. We got an 8-year-old. We got a 2-year-old. But I feel like my wife was the one who helped keep the foundation solid. You know, during a time period where I'd have a job for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at different staffing agencies. I tried to get different jobs at different places where people say, "Yo, I can hire you." A lot of those jobs fell through. I had people saying, "Yeah, I can get you a job at National Urban League or something." You know, not an actual contractor job where it expires in about 3 weeks. You know, I kept hope alive, and it just never seemed to work in my favor. So I always knew, I was like, the stuff I've been through when it comes to like trying to get a job and get money would have made anybody, man or woman, fold. Like, be like, I give up. I'm going back to the streets. I'm going back and doing what I'm doing. I just knew, I was like, no matter what, even if I don't have any money to my name, I'm not going back and doing that because I'm not going through that whole transition again. 3, I had a restitution to pay, $150 a month, $40,000. It's paid off now. It took me 3 years to pay it off, but overall, I had that restitution, and you have to make those payments. You don't make those payments, you go back to jail. All right. You still got other bills, you know, your phone bill. You know, we were living in an apartment at the time. You still got to pay the rent. You know, what else? 5, I had a parole officer. He knew I don't use no drugs, so I didn't have to worry about no piss test, like none of that. But just the fact of him having to check on me to make sure that I was on the right track, you know. So you got him on your back, you got the NBA on your back, you got no job, you got no income, so you got that on your back. So I'm just like, yo, when will this end? I'm gonna tell you how it ended, or how I saw light at the end of the tunnel. Every single night, what I would do, me and my wife, we pray together. Dear Lord, I pray that I would get. What was her exact words? I don't want to mess it up. She'd say, "Dear Lord, I pray for a financial blessing, and financial blessing. I pray for a financial blessing each and every night." And when we would say that together, it was like, I know it's coming. I just don't know in what form it's going to come. And you know, all along, I'm still doing some events. Like, it just wasn't as many though. You know, I probably was doing maybe about 7 or 8 events a year. And guess what days those were? Memorial Day, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Holiday.
The days that you want to spend with your family, not the other days. And, you know, I'm like, yo, but I need this money. And my wife understood. It's like, hey, you're going to cook for somebody else on Mother's Day. And this is our first Mother's Day together. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I got to do it because I need the money. Even though it wasn't even like big money, you know. I just needed it. You know what I'm saying? To be able to take care of the household. Before I went in, remember I was telling you I had a lot of liability. I had a lot of clothes, jackets, Prada hats, Prada sneakers, Gucci sneakers, Louis jackets, all this. Liquidate to make money. I'm on eBay selling these things hand to hand. I was doing Craigslist. Yeah, it's authentic. Look, here's the receipt from the Gucci store. Here's, if anybody wanted to question, I'm selling. I don't even want this stuff no more. I need the money to take care of my household. Before I know it, I ain't got no phone posits. I ain't got no. I'm starting fresh with an empty closet. But if you seen how many pairs of sneakers I had, how my closet looked, like a daggone mall, a whole Tyson's too. But I had to liquidate because I wanted to take care of my household. These are things that people don't necessarily see. All they see is, okay, the Chef Anthony now who, when I see him on Fox 5 in the morning, I see him on Oprah Winfrey Network reality TV. Nah, man, like I really struggle. And that stuff, that's what keeps me humble to this day. Knowing, you went through all that and you never folded. And I will never fold. Like just thinking back to it, it just keeps me like humble. And I feel like if I tell this story to somebody, maybe I'll keep them from going to prison, making a poor decision, or doing something that could, make them crash out.
It's these stories that actually transform people to know that they can become. This one of the reasons why I thank God that I had the idea to do this, because a lot of people don't know. We don't always see people who come out of prison. A lot of people think I'm a unicorn. They probably don't think that you're a unicorn. Why? Because guess what? How often do we hear the stories of people who have come out and they're successful? But when you do hear the stories of, man, I had to literally come home, a little bit of money, liquidate everything, barely got the jobs that I wanted to get, or when I went to go get jobs, I did not get them. And then my wife held me down while I was still trying to figure this thing out. I only had roughly about 7 or 8 events a year, and they was only doing times when people wanted to be together with their family. I had to basically abandon mine to get this done. But what happened is consistency.
Yep.
Praying, no, let me back up. Praying to God and asking for a financial blessing to kick me in. Then guess what happened? Everything start aligning. Doors start opening because God does hear your prayers as long as you are adding your faith along with your work. I like to say faith without work. The Bible says faith without works is dead. I said faith is waiting on God. Work is preparing. While you was preparing, God was setting the atmosphere for you to be now. Look, on Fox 5.
Yep.
On Oprah Winfrey's cooking network. But all for you to be the person you are. People don't know that story about the man who had to strap his boots up and push it without folding.
Some people wouldn't even do that though. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, man, nah, I'm good. I ain't going out here. It's Thanksgiving. I'm staying home. Bro, let me just tell you this Thanksgiving story. I'm gonna give you the shortest version ever. I went out, I did a tasting for a family on Thanksgiving, 2016. I don't care if they see this. I hope they see it. But anyway, I did a tasting for them. We drove all the way out to Woodbridge. Big old house, nice big house. I looked it up later, worth over $1 million. Anyway, I did a whole spread for them. I'm like, try this. Because the tastings back then, I didn't do tastings to sit there and watch you eat. I drop it off, whatever items y'all want. Call me later if you want to lock in. They called me later. Yo, we want to lock in. This is amazing. I hadn't even got back home yet. So this is within an hour. They're like, let's lock in. Locked in. All right. But at the table, they're like, yeah, so we want to have food ready by 2:00 on Thanksgiving Day. Okay. I'm like, if I have food ready by 2:00, I can get back home. I can cook for my family, have everything ready by 6. We good. All right. So I started looking at her menu. I'm like, I could prep some of this stuff early, this and that. I don't even have to get to her house at 7 a.m., which I initially told her. I get there at 7 a.m. and I'll be cooking and, I'll be ready by 2:00. I texted her the night before. I said, hey, I'm looking at your menu. I'll probably see you around like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Not 7 a.m. So I get there. No, I'm like halfway driving there. And she's like, "Where are you at?" I said, I'm en route right now. What's the problem?" And she was like, "You said you would be here at 7 a.m." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Well, no, I texted you last night and let you know that I was looking at your menu and realizing that I didn't have to come as early. I got time because your menu wasn't as extensive as I thought, but I'll see you shortly. I'm actually on the way." Click, just hangs up on me. I'm like, all right, you ain't gonna ruin my Thanksgiving. I get there, open the door, nobody says nothing. It's a bunch of people standing around the kitchen, blocking ways I'm trying to cook, but I'm still trying to be pleasant. "Hey, good morning. Hey, how you doing?" Nobody's speaking to me. They're being rude to me in their house while I'm preparing the food. All right. 1:15 comes around. "Hey, I'm done. I'm done a little early." So now I'm done even earlier, even though I came later. All right. Okay. All right. Well, y'all have a good one. No gratuity, no nothing. All right. Bye. I get in the car. I'm out. "Hey, wife, I'm on my way. I'm a little bit early, so just go ahead and preheat the oven. I'll be there in about an hour." All right. I'm driving. I'm coming through. Remember Woodbridge. I'm on the Beltway. I'm approaching the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. As soon as I get on the bridge, car, like smoke coming from the thing. What was that? What's that thing called? That antifreeze.
Okay.
Antifreeze coolant. The coolant reservoir burst. I'm like, dang, man. I had to pull over right there by Harborside Hotel where they got the Top Golf at. I don't even think Top Golf was there at the time. So now I'm stuck on the side of the road on Thanksgiving, waiting for a tow person on Thanksgiving. I'm sitting inside of Harborside. I just had a horrible event. I'm sure I know the food is phenomenal, but just got disrespected on Thanksgiving. All I want to do is just get home with my family, call my wife. "Hey, yeah, I'm just waiting on the tow guy. They said he should be in about 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, no tow guy. Hour later, no tow." I said, "All right, can you just come get me?" She comes and gets me, 5 o'clock, right? 5 p.m. Remember, I left their house at 1:15. So I'm like, I bent over backwards for a family on Thanksgiving, abandoning my family for someone who was ungrateful. And now my wife's upset with me because she's like, "Dad, you really took this event on Thanksgiving to get disrespected. Now I got to come and get you." Now I'm trying to scramble to make the food. I make the food and, it just wasn't the same. So I told myself from that point on, when I finally get a chance to treat myself like how federal government treats their employees, I'm not working on holidays. And to this day, when people say, "Yeah, I'm gonna try to get you for Christmas," oh, unfortunately, I don't work on holidays. I take great pride in saying it. Like, I don't work on holidays because of this one woman. Like, of course. Now I'll tell you, for the right price, I probably would, but that right price would probably scare someone to say, "Nah, I'm good."
This is about $30,000-$40,000. Look.
Yeah.
Did see.
So, it was a horrible experience that probably would have made someone say, "I give up, I quit, I'm not doing this." But to me, that was only a stepping stone to make me say, I can do better.
I got to make it. Look, and this is the thing. That story, the story is just your life in general, is a progression of how God can instill something in you to make you continue to go after your vision until it come to pass. And right now, you are a success story. You are one who have overcame to become. And right now, there's many people, I pray to God that a lot of people get to see this, because what they don't know is the backstory. But what I just got to find out is the most extensive part of you. It ain't who you are now. To me, it's the person you had to become to get here. And this is the beauty of it. Before we exit, share about your books, because you told me about your books prior to us getting on here.
Yeah. I even got a story about that. I give you the shortest version about that. I remember right before I got ready to go in, I said, I think I want to write a book about how my experience was from, the rise and fall. I said, I'm going to put together some recipe books, based on some of the stuff I've learned in it. This is before I went in, because I already knew. I said, I'm going to study this culinary arts and take it serious as opposed to playing around. And this one individual told me, "Don't nobody want to read nothing you got." I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Well, you got to read this. This is the stuff that I learned." I said, "Okay." And this one individual told me, "Don't nobody want to read nothing you got." I was like, "Don't nobody want to read nothing you got." I was like, "What?" that just continued to give me fuel. I was like, yeah. And, you know, it just fueled me. And look, now I got 10. But the first book is just simple recipes that, you know, people would ask me for that I was posting on Instagram in the earlier days. The second book is Ashland Eats. That's one of the top sellers of all my books put together. It's basically a collection of recipes for parents that want to give their kids whole foods, not foods out of a jar or out of some sort of peeled back plastic container. It's actual recipes I was giving my daughter: butternut squash, avocado mixed with breast milk, uh, uh, Brussels sprouts. You know, anything that a bunch of kids start getting a little bit of teeth to start eating. Right. Third book is Meal Preppers, New Leftovers. It's a self-help book, shows individuals how to learn how to meal prep. Certain items to go to the grocery store, purchase, you know, and gather the right items, not the wrong items. And it comes with a 21-day meal prep guide on how to, you know, get shredded and lose weight.
Okay.
Fourth book, what is it called? Have Just One Bite. You know, keep your kids from eating the regular frozen foods, you know, and give them actual whole foods. But it's actual kids in the actual depiction, showing them how they're eating items that even adults won't eat. Oysters, mushrooms, you know, cauliflower, you know, stuff that kind of makes you go, you know, but the kids are loving it because they're trying it for the first time. One of my favorites, The Little Vegan Chef. I made that during the pandemic, and that's a collection of recipes, vegan only, that you can make at home with your kids, and has cartoon characters depicting that as well. One of the more recent ones is called oh man, how I forget the name of my books?
Man, you got 10
Making
of
My
them.
Ancestors Proud.
Making my ancestors proud.
Yeah. And that was inspired by me losing my father and my grandfather. My father 2016, grandfather in 19. And you know, they were my inspirations when it came to cooking because of their styles, but men actually being in the kitchen. And that's a hardback book. Yep. So I said it was inspired by my father and grandfather who both have passed on, but they were some of my biggest inspirations when it comes to this culinary arts thing. And you know, I just know that them looking down, they're proud of the man who I've become, and you know, the recipes that they never got a chance to necessarily try, but they know I've always been the one to take culinary chances. And I tell people to this day, I will take a culinary chance and do something that the average person won't do, because I want someone to say, I never thought of it like that. I typically only do this. Well, you typically only do this because you're afraid to take culinary chances. I'm not.
That's dope. That's dope. So, before we leave, where can we get your books? Because I do want everybody to be able to reach out. I also prefer them to actually get it from your website. That way they might can get their hand signed copy.
Yeah.
But if you can't, go to Amazon, wherever you got to. But please support this brother. Fabulous, phenomenal brother. Go ahead.
Yep. So just go to my website, www.chefanthonythomas.com. You go into books. We got plenty of books for you. We got services for you. Catering events, 2 guests all the way up to 2,000 guests. Next month, starting back up the yacht dining, sunset charters, starting those back up. That was a big hit last spring, summer. And you know, just anything you're getting married soon. I love doing weddings. You having a baby. I love doing baby showers. Just tell a friend. Follow me on IG too, Chef Anthony DC. The coolest top recipes you'll see on the internet. Never duplicated.
And before we leave, I want you to do something. If you could inspire or give a word of wisdom to somebody who either starting the culinary or starting whatever their journey may be, what would it be?
Yep. The gem I would leave with somebody who wants to get into culinary arts is one of two things: go to culinary arts school, online or in class, and get that book knowledge. Also, go work at a restaurant that shares and mirrors the cuisine of your choice, and get that hands-on experience in the kitchen, where you can learn the ins and outs, the pacing, how to pace your food, certain ways to make different things, flavor profiles that you wouldn't necessarily learn just from reading a recipe book or looking at a YouTube video. You actually get to learn it from a chef who handcrafted this recipe inside this restaurant. And thirdly, when you begin your culinary journey after that, if you say, look, I got the book knowledge, I got the hands-on experience, I'm ready to hit the ground, give the people something that they can never get from anyone else. Make them come to you for a specific reason. What do you get from McDonald's that you can't get from nowhere else? The Big Mac. What can you get from Burger King? The Whopper. What can you get from Pizza Hut? Stuffed crust deep dish pizzas. Give them a reason to come to you. And them coming to you is either, of course, quality food, quality experiences, a big smile. Me, I'm wearing pink gloves. I like to dress and match the crowd. They wearing all black and gold, I'm wearing black and gold. Something that's going to draw your customer base to you and say, I'm not just buying into the service, I'm buying into you.
So, for all y'all, this is Forward Progress. That is Chef Anthony Thomas. My name is Carlos Walker, and this is Forward Progress. Peace and blessings, and thank y'all for watching.